a world with real magic, powers, and super abilities used by both evil or good, competing for their influence throughout the multiverse. The more cartoonic these characters are, the complex and heartbreaking backstories they hold, but the wars this world went through were truly horrifying, causing destruction everywhere and spreading fear. Every part making the story more fun and exciting. Welcome to the ultimate lore of Apex Legends, the world of Apex. Apex Legends world involves the core systems including Earth and its easily accessible solar systems. However, very little is known about their current world events. Except from this, their surrounding planets and systems were extremely crowded and polluted, even running out of basic needs. Among these systems, we got the Frontier, a vast, newly discovered and resource-rich group of star systems far apart from Earth. But the discovery of Frontier occurs in 2292 by the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation (IMC). They were the ones who sets off the new space race between the mega corporation and its various competitors. This new space race was fought for a bunch of reasons. The most common one was the huge amount of rich resources the planets of the Frontier had, and the IMC-funded colony ships were the first to settle in the region, even though their searching and settlement for Frontier gave them a major boost in supporting the core systems. Even the Frontier settlement also got a massive boost when IMC passed a new law. This law, sometimes referred to as GI Bill, gave some cool benefits to soldiers who fought for the IMC in older star systems. They could get money to set up businesses and farms in Frontier, plus cheap home loans and promised ownerships of land on these new planets for beginning their fresh lives. Yet many of these new settlers still remember how to fight, even how to control the huge Titan robots from their experience in the war. In 2442, the core systems faced another beginning trouble which led towards neglecting the IMC of the Frontier settlers for centuries, allowing the development of Frontier, which helps them becoming mostly independent from the IMC, including the growth of strongly independent cultures and the rise of lawlessness in the area. On the other hand, the corporate wars finally ended when the IMC won. Now the IMC aimed in returning to the Frontier all at once, although watching the Frontier growing colonies, acting on using their power to take the land, mentioning their initial investment in the Frontier settlement. This results in IMC instantly taking over planets, with setting up huge mining operations. Meanwhile, people already living in Frontier were forced to kicked out of their houses. These unfair actions results in the formation of Frontier Militia Group. This group made by the combination of different planet armies, pirates, and hired fighters, all with the same goal of protecting the Frontier and their way of life from the IMC. This militia was formed, but their attacks on IMC bases likely started the Titan Wars in 2671, which lasted for 21 years, and the winners were the IMC. However, just 15 years later, the Frontier War begins, but this time the militias were the conqueror at the Battle of Demeter. This changed everything, positioning the IMC on the defensive. Plus, cutting off the fresh supplies, now the remaining IMC forces became and known as a remnant fleet. The war finally ended after the Battle of Grid Island, leaving both militia and the IMC from fighting anymore. The Titanfall universe, a fictional world where the Titanfall seers happen. Far in the future, people learned ways to travel faster than light and started settling in distant parts of spaces. However, the first groups of settlers built their homes in star systems closer to our sun. These new homes were known as the core systems, but the people kept exploring and soon founded a much bigger area having many different planets where they could settle. This new place was the Frontier, full of valuable resources and trade routes, later becoming home for many future generations. However, the entry of IMC upsets the balance of power in the Frontier. This was the reason for the creation of the Frontier Militia and the start of the Frontier War. This war is the main reason for the conflict in the Titanfall games. The Outlands, a messy group of planets on the outer edges of Frontier. As of now, there are only 10 known existing planets in the Outlands: Gaia, Samathi, Solace, Talos, Boreas, and others. At least before the Titan Wars began, the Outlands were known as the home of Thunderdome Arena games, where a young Kuben Bliss got his start as a fighter. During the Frontier War, the Outlands were mostly untouched by the brutal combat between IMC and Frontier Militia. Following this ending war, the region saw a rush of settlers searching for new resources and looking for land to build houses on. After the war left everything destroyed, later it was affected by the blackout that starts affecting the Frontier soon after the Battle of Grid Island. Following the end, at some point, Kings Canyon Island was chosen to host the Apex Games to restart combat sports as a popular show in the Outlands. ROBOTICS, a major, long-standing company within the Apex Legends universe, so its deep roots already existing in the Titanfall series, even though its lore lasts for ages and covers a lot, highlighting its evolution from a foundational engineering company to a powerful, often controversial, mega corporation. HAMMOND Robotics, when first founded, was known as HAMMOND Engineering by Heinrich Hammond in 2127, later setting up as HAMMOND Robotics in 2131. The company grew like crazy, controlling the whole Titan design market, planet scanning tech, and material science. Over a century, through a series of buying manufacturing and selling companies, but the Hammond Engineering soon transformed into the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation (IMC), becoming the main power in the core systems. During the Frontier War, the IMC, transforming from Hammond Engineering, was mainly in charge of manufacturing Titans. The company also had a hand in the development of military technologies, including Spectres, which the IMC heavily relied on. However, their current activities and impact on the game very much includes Planet Harvester, a new planet harvester on World's Edge, a major event that messed with the environment of the map, Lava Siphon and Climatizer. In response to environmental damage, Hammond Robotics constructed the Lava Siphon for the processing of molten rock and the Climatizer for the production of heat-absorbing aerosols, handed over some solutions to handle environmental messes. Simulacrum technology. Hammond Robotics also got sales for manufacturing simulacrums and were responsible for rebuilding Ash, who used to be a bad guy from Titanfall 2 after she was badly injured, while showing itself as new, as well as offering solutions like the Lava Siphon and Climatizer. But there's a hidden meaning behind these pure acts, which kinda creates a sense of thinking that Hammond Robotics might be involved in bad stuff or evil activities due to their continuing agenda with the IMC. Even though their continued presence and technological advancements ensure that the legacy of the Frontier War's industrial and military messy leftovers are what made it happen in the Apex Legends universe. The Frontier War, a multi-year conflict, developed through a series of key moments that ultimately determined its ending and shaped the future of the Titanfall and Apex Legends universes. And yet, the origin of the conflict can be traced back to the foundation of Hammond Engineering in 2131. However, the Titan Wars beginning in 2671, concluding in 2695 as the IMC's victory, a period that saw Captain James McCallum defecting from the corporation. Even so, the Frontier War officially began in 2707, while the key conflicts that marked the progression of the war were the Battle of Demeter 2710. This engagement is considered the single most important conflict of the entire war. Even though the Demeter was strategically vital due to its refueling facilities, working as the central link to travel between the core worlds and the Frontier. Finally, the Frontier militia scored a crushing win by successfully destroying these depots, effectively cutting off the Frontier from the core, successfully stopping IMC backup from reaching the battleground. This throws a huge setback to IMC and really helped militia to unite, shifting the momentum of the war straight up in their favor. The whole point of crushing IMC plans at Demeter directly contributed to their big help, demonstrating the militia's smart move. Way more than a small protest, the Battle of Typhon stood out in Titanfall 2. This event involved the IMC's old weapon were an alien power source, the Ark, used for wiping out the planet. The destruction of Typhon was a huge disaster, resulting in the loss of hundreds of thousands of IMC folks. This was the battle that introduced the Ark and fold weapon, alien technologies that show up again in Apex Legends lore, indicating that even tactical setbacks can have huge lasting effects, plus setting the stage for future storylines. The Frontier War officially concluded in 2716 with the militia's victory. Following the wars, and both the IMC and militia left the Frontier, leaving the region and the Outlands to become self-governed. However, the aftermath period saw the establishment of the Apex games in 2727, with the games officially beginning in 2728. Characters. Apex Legends got a deep story that always keeps growing, even connecting to the wider Titanfall universe. Each legend with its unique backstory, motivations for joining the deadly Apex games, often carrying their complicated relationships with other characters. Currently, there are 27 unique legends around, with continuous addition of more. Each legend is known by their own special, passive, tactical, and ultimate abilities which command their role in a squad. From aggressive assault characters like Banglo and Fuse to mobile skirmishers like Wraith and Octane. Also the information gathering recon specialists Bloodhound, as well as the area controlling controllers like Watson and vital support legends Lifeline. Let's now take an overview of characters, common motivations, and key lore elements. Many legends are drawn to the games for some serious money, often to support their family, pay off debts, or fund their personal projects. The fame also opens the door to them for different programs, while some legends are seeking revenge against those who cheat them or their loved ones. However, characters like Pathfinder are on a quest to figure out where they came from or to find their true purpose. Only a few legends are trying to set their past mistakes right. Many different character storylines primarily involve their relation or opposition with the Syndicate, a powerful organization responsible for every act in the Apex games, even commanding every action step to the whole. Outlands, although a recurring theme, includes the loss of family members and the heartbroken impact it has on the legend's life. Bangalore is still on a search for her lost brother Jackson, while Horizon is desperate to meet her son. The lore sustains complex relationships between the legends. These can be competitions like Loba versus Revenant, friendships as Fuse and Bloodhound, affairs like between Loba, Valkyrie, Bangalore, or difficult family relationships as of Octane and Lifeline's families. These relationships often drive the seasonal story events. Now, here comes the characters' backstories. Alter. On May 7, 2024, a new legend was born. Yingling Lui, aka Alter. Apex Legends Interdimensional Traveler. Alter's portal hopping, void nexus running, and information package gathering skills are essential component of this new skirmisher class and a welcome addition for players who seek fast-paced, thrilling characters. While her actions in the lore features her running towards several planets, those already falling apart, and the remaining ones deal with their destruction by her. Even though all these destructive activities were just for Alter enjoyment, focusing on ensuring a truly remarkable ending. When Alter shows up from her dimension into another, guarding her past, she only had these two aspects. First, her interdimensional traveling void tech, and second, a desire to have fun. Even though she sold the fanciest foods, learned to fight through difficult situations, and performed various tasks for personal benefits. However, she didn't hesitate to double-cross her clients if it's more beneficial or enjoyable to her. In addition, she doesn't tie herself for the outcomes of her actions, degrading any sense of ethics or responsibility she had, focusing on what is important, making sure life is never ordinary. Nia, a powerful hunter, serves as the most efficient contracted security personnel, known for their supreme archery skills and their inflexible moral principles. However, they train their youth, following the protocols, even making their teams more dangerous than many lawless assassins. From an early age, Nia showed his natural talent, far outperforming his associate. His skills and confidence are seen as blessing and curse to his group, because every quality that makes him a future leader is seen as liability by the old guard. Even being the clear successor of his grandmaster, just refused to see the world in such binary terms. As growing older, his family felt increasingly concerned over his disagreement to their perspective. Being raised by such a dense group made him restless, often leading him to make risky decisions. Once, a particularly careless action of Enya's created a gap that his family could not see a way back from now, although it became clear that Enya and his family would never see in agreement with Placidra Rosa's black and white approach to life. Meanwhile, failing to convince his family as well as trying to explain about obvious right and wrong in his situations, in the end, Enya was sadly rejected from his family and the Placidra Rosa. Enya was heartbroken for leaving his family, but was figuring out to have both a life of his own rules and being welcomed by his family. However, bounty hunting for his survival, even so, an unexpected call next to his chair observes him for the Apex Games. Horizon. Dr. Mary Somers, aka the Horizon, a brilliant astrophysicist with a primary goal of traveling back in time to reunite with her son, even though her son Newton, who passed away long ago after a gravitational time warp, left her being trapped for decades in the future. This gives an idea of her quest full of obstacles and ethical challenges. However, her journey includes both her progress and setbacks. Horizon once knew that Dardo Silva Otane's grandfather had found a relic decades ago that might benefit her by reducing her time traveling efforts, and yet she entered an Apex event to win the relic but sadly ended up failing. She even began working with Mirage and Lifeline to reactivate the relic. During this period, portals and drift phenomena started appearing, hinting at deeper mysteries. However, Alter later helped her by providing Horizon a crucial power source, a Shower of the Ark, a powerful alien energy source that has strong connections to the Titanfall universe and the Frontier War. However, in Titanfall 2, the Ark was mostly used by the IMC for powering their fold weapons. Despite acquiring the Ark fragment, Horizon's dream of seeing Newton again was ruined when Ash, fearing the consequences of time traveling, destroyed the Ark fragment. This act triggered a multiverse collapse, causing the appearance of rifts on King's Canyon during mid-match, eventually leading the Lifeline's drone, Doc, being dragged into the rift, suffering heavy damage. Even after Ash's interference, Horizon remains determined to find different paths leading towards Newton. This is how every legend carries his own backstory. Now let's discuss some popular theories about the legends. Revenant Reborn. After killing Eduardo Silva plus taking command of his own simulacrum shells, Revenant's motivations have fundamentally shifted from a hunger for true death to a deep satisfaction in his power, together with the respect of his position as the bogeyman of the Outlands, operating with in control of his own destiny. However, the result of releasing his army was really showed off during the Uprising event, where legends had to escape a never-ending rush of Revenant simulacrums, proving how crazy strong his new forces were. Even though we haven't seen the army since then, while other legends have reacted to him strongly, Loba's long-standing quest for revenge was blew up in her face when Revenant stopped her from destroying his source code. This ended up by Loba accepting his new power, but Octane was totally messed up after seeing his grandfather murdered by Revenant's hands, ended up creating a rift with Lifeline. Mercenary Syndicate. The Mercenary Syndicate, simply referred as the Syndicate, a powerful collection of hired gun companies that became well known in the Outlands after the conclusion of the Frontier War. Following the destruction of the Frontier Worlds and the later departure of both the IMC and the Frontier Militia, the Outlands were left in a mess. Also, the Syndicate is said to be responsible of bringing life and order back to the region, and so their influence is very powerful as they are the ones who establish and operates the Apex games. One major component of the Syndicate is the Syndicate Corps, formerly known as the Frontier Corps. The Frontier Corps initially founded in 2011 as a publicly funded volunteer program specially focused on social, medical, and economic development in the frontier, promoting mutual understanding among citizens. In 2734, after Torres Silva, under the act of Eduardo Silva, was elected as the head of the Syndicate Council, he is the one who turned the Frontier Corps into the Syndicate Corps by placing Cherish J at its head. Lifeline, one of the legends funding this organization by using her winnings from the Apex games. Kudan Blisk, an ex-villain from Titanfall 2 and leader of the Apex Predators Mercenary Corps, has promoted to the role of commissioner of the Apex games, directly linking his past to the war mercenary, carrying his current position as mastermind of the Outlands' new blood sport. This highlights the role of Syndicate in joining the era of open warfare with this new era of regulated spectacle, map lore, and events. Quarantine Zone, introduced in Season 21, is a direct result of recent absolute disaster of a satellite smashing into the moon, damaging it and breaking off a big piece that floated away. However, during the cleanup process afterwards, unknown alien eggs were discovered, leading to the creation of the Quarantine Zone for stopping any danger the eggs might cause. This area is characterized by weird-looking leaves, with an excess of alien plant life, reflecting the moon's changed environment. But the lore exactly shows what they did to control it, including the cleaning points for things we couldn't recreate, and the samples keeping safe in cold storage. The exact source or ultimate purpose of these mysterious alien eggs largely remains unknown, beyond their role as a potential danger that created the quarantine. E District, home to Gia's most luxurious shopping mall, a crowded business center, and a night market with some of the planet's best cuisine. Electro District was once a heavily populated island district in the city of Tamo. The busy nightlife attracting everyone, both local people and visitors, all willing to spend their evenings covered in E District's neon lights. However, the lights faded when a massive storm hits the storm point, knocking out district's primary energy supply. As a result, power became limited in a place where a lot was needed. It made the public furious and disorganized about its supply. In the middle of the mess, the Legend Otter somehow crashed a ship into HAMMOND labs, which caused stored toxic chemicals spreading throughout the district. The area was eventually cleared out and the island's surrounding bridges were destroyed to prevent anyone from returning. The Syndicate saw potential in the abandoned E District as a future arena. They took control of the land and spent a massive sum cleaning up the toxic chemicals, even fixing up the area. With time, the island's energy supply was restored, leading E District returning to its former glory. Now its neon lights up the clash between legends as they fight in the Apex games. And that we scratches the surface of the rich evolving world of Apex Legends. What part of the story do you like most? And which Legends past do you want to learn more about next? Let me know in the comments below.